called out Anthony Joshua. Were you on cocaine?
No, I don't do that thing. But I would if you got some.
Why did you do that?
To be the heavyweight champion of the world. His chin's gone.
But he's still Anthony Joshua.
Which is stiff and no rhythm, no skill, just power.
You're serious about fighting him?
Yeah. It's in 2026, we already talked.
Get out of there! He's hurt! What the fuck? Get him out of there! He's hurt! Let's go! Get him out there! The most going on!
Jake Paul just did it again. He's calling out Anthony Joshua, a two-time heavyweight champion, claiming he has no chin, no skills, and is stiff. And guess what? Joshua has responded. The internet is losing its mind over the possibility of this fight, but is this just another Paul publicity stunt? Or could it actually happen? Let's break it all down. Before we dive in, do me a quick favor. Like this video and subscribe. 98% of you watch without subscribing, and it helps a ton. Done? Awesome. Now, let's get into it.
Jake wants to fight Anthony Joshua now?
I know that I will f***ing beat Anthony Joshua's ass.
Said he wants to fight Anthony Joshua in 2026.
And the haters online are like, yeah, do it.
Jake Paul, never one to shy away from controversy, set social media ablaze with a single post. The YouTuber turned boxer shared an image of Anthony Joshua on the phone, pairing it with a taunting caption. Look who called. 2026 Anthony Joshua. The implication was clear. Paul was calling out one of boxing's most decorated heavyweights for a future bout. The reaction was immediate and divided.
So like, what about now?
Yeah.
They're like, what about fight him now? He's like, no, I want to wait till 2026. I'm like, okay.
To put on weight.
Put all the steroids, every steroid they
Whatever.
have.
I would watch.
Snake
Here's the
venom,
thing. I would
scorpion
watch.
venom.
Some fans dismissed the idea outright, mocking Paul for what they saw as an absurd mismatch. Others, however, found themselves intrigued. Could this be another massive payday fight, even if it seemed laughably one-sided? Social media debates raged on, with arguments over whether Paul was serious or simply chasing headlines to remain relevant. Joshua's promoter, Eddie Hearn, wasted no time addressing the challenge. Speaking to the media, Hearn revealed Joshua's blunt response when asked if he would fight Paul. Listen, I'd fight him. That simple statement was enough to keep speculation swirling.
So would we fight Jake Paul for a load of money? Of course. Like, why? Be a sweet payday. But
16-ounce gloves though.
yeah, but nah.
Joshua himself remained composed and unfazed. Unlike other fighters who might lash out at Paul's antics, AJ seemed indifferent, perhaps even slightly amused. But did he actually take Paul's challenge seriously? That was the bigger question. Given the clear disparity in skill, weight class, and experience, the fight seemed virtually impossible on paper. Joshua is a two-time unified heavyweight world champion, while Paul, despite his progress in the sport, remains largely untested against elite competition. The idea of a novice boxer stepping into the ring with a powerhouse like Joshua bordered on fantasy. Yet, in today's boxing landscape, where spectacle often trumps tradition, the impossible sometimes finds a way to happen.
We don't do that. We don't do that. If we're in a fight, we follow the Queensberry rules. Right? 10-ounce gloves, 3-minute rounds. It's not. We don't mess around with all that kind of stuff. That's not boxing.
Jake Paul's ambition doesn't stop with Joshua. In fact, his call-out is just the latest in a string of outlandish challenges. Reports surfaced that Paul had compiled a list of desired opponents for 2025 and 2026, including the likes of Canelo Alvarez and Gervonta Tank Davis. But what happened to those fights? Canelo never entertained the idea, dismissing Paul outright. The proposed bout with Gervonta Davis also fell through, despite rumors that Paul was in talks to fight the undefeated lightweight. In both cases, the matchup seemed unrealistic, either due to weight class differences or credibility concerns. Even so, Paul's relentless pursuit of big-name fighters has sparked debate. Some view his callouts as a desperate attempt to stay relevant, while others, including Amanda Serrano, believe he is genuinely pushing himself. He asks for tough fights but gets called delusional? Serrano argued, highlighting the contradiction in how Paul is perceived. While boxing purists scoff at the idea of Paul fighting an elite heavyweight like Joshua, history has shown that money often dictates matchmaking. If there's enough hype and financial incentive, even the most improbable fights can materialize. The question remains, does Jake Paul truly believe he can hang with the likes of Anthony Joshua? Or is this just another chapter in his ongoing marketing masterclass?
I know my boundaries. I want to fight Anthony Joshua exclusive because I know that I will beat Anthony Joshua's ass.
To boxing purists, the idea of Jake Paul stepping into the ring with Anthony Joshua is nothing short of laughable. The sport has seen its fair share of bizarre matchups over the years, but this one might take the cake. Critics argue that a fight between an elite heavyweight and a YouTuber turned boxer would be a complete farce, an insult to the sport's integrity. The skepticism isn't without merit. Paul's last official boxing match against Tommy Fury ended in a loss, proving that he struggles against even mid-level professional boxers. If he couldn't get past Fury, a young, relatively unproven fighter, what makes him think he could stand a chance against a two-time heavyweight world champion like Joshua? The gap in skill, experience, and sheer physicality is overwhelming. So, is this just another desperate attempt for clout? A calculated social media stunt designed to generate headlines and engagement? Many believe Paul has no real intention of fighting Joshua, but rather, he's using the call-out as a way to keep his name in the mix while he searches for a more realistic opponent.
I know I will
just got
beat-
knocked out, right?
Yeah. He doesn't have a chin, and he has no skill, and he's stiff. And I love you, Anthony. We're friends. All this, but I want to fight you.
Despite the absurdity of the matchup from a sporting perspective, boxing is as much a business as it is a sport. And if there's one thing Jake Paul understands better than most fighters, it's how to sell a fight. Time and time again, Paul has leveraged controversy, trash talk, and viral moments to turn even lackluster matchups into must-watch events. His ability to generate pay-per-view sales is why even legendary fighters entertain his call-outs. Love him or hate him, Paul knows how to get people talking and, more importantly, spending. Would Anthony Joshua take the fight just for the payday? On the surface, it seems unlikely. Joshua has already secured his legacy as one of the top heavyweights of his era, and he continues to chase world titles. However, boxing is unpredictable. If the financial offer were significant enough, potentially a record-breaking payday, it wouldn't be shocking to see Joshua consider it, even if only as an exhibition. But with a fight like this would come major backlash.
Josh, what do you make of the fight? Joshua.
Fans and analysts alike would ridicule Joshua for taking such an uncompetitive fight. Some would accuse him of tarnishing his reputation for the sake of an easy cash grab. The question is, would the money outweigh the potential damage to his credibility? So, where does this leave us? Is this just another empty call-out from Jake Paul, or could this actually turn into a legitimate fight? If history has shown us anything, it's that Jake Paul doesn't stop calling out legends. Whether it's Canelo, Gervonta Davis, or now Anthony Joshua, Paul continues to challenge some of the sport's biggest names, even when the matchups make no sense. His approach has been a mix of ambition and opportunism, banking on the idea that eventually someone will take the bait. As for Joshua, it's hard to imagine him taking this fight seriously. He has nothing to gain from beating Paul except for a huge payday. Even then, he could likely make similar money fighting a legitimate contender without facing the same level of criticism. The real question is, does boxing need fights like this to stay relevant? In an era where influencer boxing is drawing millions of viewers while traditional bouts sometimes struggle to sell, some argue that these crossover spectacles bring fresh eyes to the sport. Others believe they dilute the essence of professional boxing, turning it into a sideshow rather than a serious competition. Whether or not this fight ever happens, one thing is certain. Jake Paul will continue to stir the pot, keeping himself in the conversation whether boxing fans like it or not. Alright guys, for the best updates on boxing news, moments, events, and actions, subscribe to Knockout Updates and turn on notifications to never miss out on quality content, and check out our other videos. Until next time, peace out.